This is the brand new Nest 4th generation thermostat. I think this is the best one yet. I love the new redesign of the thermostat itself, but of course you can't use it if you don't install it, so I'm going to take you step by step through the installation of this brand new Nest thermostat. Check it before you wreck it. What's up, geeks? I'm Kirk, and here it is, that brand new 4th gen Nest thermostat. I do think this is an awesome redesign, and if you've never had a Nest before, I think this is a great one to grab. And just to break it down how these things work, you have the thermostat itself, that's the piece I'm holding right here, and then you have a base piece that actually attaches to your wall. That's where you connect the wires that are coming out of the wall in your house that are likely connected to your existing thermostat. That base stays on the wall, and then this piece kind of pushes and snaps into the base, connecting the Nest thermostat to the wiring in your home. I gotta say, installing a Nest thermostat, this version, previous versions, is about as easy as it gets when it comes to installing a thermostat. The Nest app really walks you through the process, but I'm gonna do the same thing. I recorded the whole thing, and I'm gonna take you step by step as I wire the base plate into the wall and then connect the thermostat itself and set it up for the first time. So let's check that out. And check this out. What you're looking at right now is my existing mounting plate installation kind of situation. That's the old Nest mounting plate and the new one on the left here. And you can see the new one has a ton more connecting options. That is why the new Gen 4 is more compatible with more wiring situations than previous Nest models, because they give you more options. The good thing is it shouldn't be that complicated. So for example, whatever your situation is, you're going to want to take a picture of the existing wiring. This will help guide you through the new wiring. So I'm taking a picture with my phone of my existing wiring situation so I know which one is the yellow, the green, the red, the W1, and the C line. All of those you can match up with the new plate. You follow the instructions. I know everyone's situation isn't this simple, but follow the instructions on the app that Nest gives you, and it should be a pretty easy process to walk yourself through. So I'm going to use a screwdriver to remove my existing mounting plate here. This will be different depending on every single situation. And then you're going to want to release the wires however that works for your existing mounting plate. For a Nest plate like I have here, you simply push in the buttons and pull the wires out, and they should be pretty easy to come out. Now, I do want to remind you, any situation like this, you're going to want to turn the power off. It is usually low voltage power coming to your thermostat, but you still want to turn it off because you could easily short something out if you don't do that. So be careful, turn the power off before you go through this process. Now you're looking at my bare wall with the wires sticking out, and you should have a similar situation in your home. You're going to take the new mounting plate with the new Nest thermostat. This of course comes with the thermostat. You can watch my unboxing to see exactly what comes inside the box. This is one of the items included. You kind of funnel the wires through that hole in the middle, and then now we're going to screw this plate back in the same way we had the previous plate screwed in. You can use one screw. They recommend multiple screws. If you have a bigger hole in your wall, you're going to want to use the plate. There's a plastic plate that also comes with the thermostat that will help to cover up a bigger hole in the wall. Again, this all depends on the situation you have in your home currently. I like the fact that there's a level, as you can see, built right into the plate itself, so you can find level, and then you can tighten the plate in with a single screw or multiple screws. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to use a single screw, but I would recommend that you put that second screw in the bottom. The screws, by the way, are included in the box as well. Let the Nest app guide you as to which wire goes where. Now, luckily for me, again, because I had a Nest installation before and because I don't have a ton of wires coming out of my wall, it's pretty easy. I simply match them up with the letters they were connected to before. So that blue wire, as you can see, goes into the C connector. The W1 wire is the white wire. I simply push the little button down on the ring of the mounting plate and then slide the wire in, let go of the button, and that should lock the wire in pretty well. My red wire goes into the R connector. I've got a yellow. I've got a green as well. So the green is going to go, I believe, into the G connector. That is correct. And then the yellow cable goes into the Y1 connector. Again, yours might not be color coordinated, so don't necessarily take that for what it's worth. Follow the instructions in the app. If you need help, certainly call a professional, and they should be able to help you with this as well. The app is going to ask you to scan the QR code on the back of the thermostat, which is pretty self-explanatory, but that will connect the app to the thermostat. in which case you just plug the thermostat in, lining up the connector, and now it has power. Of course, there is a battery in the thermostat, so it can retain power, but now it has power, and the app can actually connect to the thermostat. So let's take you through that process. Here is my phone. Of course, I'm using a Google Pixel phone, but this experience is going to be the same pretty much no matter which phone you're using. The iPhone app should work exactly the same as well. And you can see it is connecting and currently looking for my Nest thermostat. Again, that QR code helps it find it. It's connected. Which language do you want? Well, I want English. You can select your language. Once you do that, it's going to ask you to review which wires are connected. And this is kind of cool because it shows you which wires the thermostat itself actually detected and what those wires do. So very cool. Now it's going to test my system's power. It does a lot of this self-diagnostic stuff, which is kind of cool to make sure that what you did with the wiring process was correct. So it's going to ask you some questions. What is your heat fuel source? In my case, I use natural gas, but you should know what the answer to this is. How do you want your fan to be controlled, by the thermostat or by the furnace? Again, this is going to be personal preference, and if you don't understand these questions, well, you should probably find somebody who does or call a professional, because you don't really want to mess around with these questions that are going to decide exactly how the thermostat is operating. Which mode should your thermostat use today? You can tell it based on what time of the year. This, of course, is summer, so we're going to say that we want air conditioning mode to be used today. A little waiting while it sets itself up, but we should get the go screen. There you go. The thermostat can now control heating and cooling. It's going to reconnect back to my device once again as it is still going through that setup and calibration process. So now what we're seeing is that it's looking for Wi-Fi networks because the thermostat, of course, has to connect to the Wi-Fi so it can connect to the internet. I'm going to select my Wi-Fi network. It'll ask me if I want to use my saved password on my phone. I say okay, which is kind of cool because then it sends my password from my phone over to the thermostat, tests the connection, finishes it up, and it actually happens pretty fast. This whole process, it does a very good job of making it as easy as possible, I think, for people who maybe don't want to get too techie on this. And there we go. Now we're all set. It says it's getting my device ready. This may take a minute. Where is the device? It's going to ask me to pick a room. Now, I have a lot of rooms set up on my phone. You may not have this many rooms set up. I've used a lot of Google Home devices in the past, and I currently use Google Home. That's why I have those rooms set up. It's asking me here to confirm my address. It uses that for some of the location-based features. It's also going to ask me how I want to manage the savings settings. I'm going to reject these. Basically, it makes it more eco-friendly, but it may not be how you want it to operate. It's asking about home and away routines. It can actually detect when your phone leaves the house and when you come back and base your routines based off that. I don't necessarily like that because I'm not the only one in this house. I have kids as well. So even if my wife and I are gone, they're old enough that they might be home, and I don't want the house to get really hot or get really cold, for example. So you can turn on presence sensing as well. This uses your thermostats to detect when people are in the house. This I do like. Motion sensors and things like that to tell if there are people moving around in the house. It can actually use other sensors as well, including Google Home speakers and Google Home devices that have sort of sensors built into them to help detect if people are in the house. I like that feature. It's using the power of the Google Home network. It also talks about leafs. These are things you earn when you're eco-friendly, which is kind of a gamifying your thermostat, really. All right, what do we want to set up next? Well, let's jump in and review or edit our starter schedule. I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory, but I like how easy the app makes this compared to old school thermostats. What do you want the temperatures to be while you're sleeping? What do you want the temperatures to be during the day? Yeah, it's kind of walks you through that process. Of course, you can change it based on the time of the day. You don't have to set any of this up. The thermostat is smart enough. It'll figure it out on its own as you update the temperature manually, but it is cool to set up kind of a starter schedule. You can base this off the included sensor as well. So if you put a sensor in the bedroom and you want that to be used at night, you can tell it that. A lot of control here, a lot of power here, and I do like it. Again, Smart Schedule will adjust that for you. So this is what's called Farsight. This is really cool. This is the thermostat when you walk up to the thermostat, what it displays. It's this really cool looking kind of fancy display that shows you current weather, the current time, some of your current settings, and you get to decide exactly how that looks. There are 4 basic options included: temperature, weather, analog clock, and digital clock. Now, temperature is kind of the basic one. This will look a lot like maybe sort of what the old Nest thermostat looked like. I like the weather option. So I'll flip it over to the weather option to show you exactly what that looks like, because I think that is the coolest looking one. It gives you the current temperature outside, and then it puts kind of a cool motion graphic behind that temperature showing you the current weather conditions outside as well. So let me move this screen record out of the way, and you can see as I flip between these, it changes what that looks like on the thermostat itself. Again, this is the normal sort of default temperature display, shows you indoor, cooling to, but I like the weather one where it shows those clouds in the background. It really is cool, and it changes that look in the background based on the current weather conditions outside. So you can walk down in the morning, walk up to the thermostat, see the current temperature outside and what the conditions are. I like that. To change the temperature on your thermostat, you simply spin the ring. This is a lot like previous Nest thermostats, although I would argue it's more elegant now with the new look and the new design. I think it's pretty cool. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I've walked you through the setup process here of the thermostat itself. This should kind of take you through what your experience will be. Hopefully it gives you an idea of what it's like to install the Nest thermostat, and maybe it even helped you if you had some questions about installing the thermostat yourself. I can't wait to see your comments. I want to know what you guys think about this process. What was your experience installing the Nest thermostat? I know some older homes often have much different wiring, much more complicated situations than what maybe you saw in my video. So throw a comment below, let me know how it went for you. And I want to know what you think too about the brand new 4th gen Nest thermostat. Do you like the redesign as much as I do? I read every comment, I comment back as much as I can. Go ahead, test me out. I'd love to see that comment. I would really appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. It helps me grow, and it also helps me bring more videos to you here on YouTube. Tech it before you wreck it. I'm Kirk.